Population genetics, pseudoscience or science. Is population genetics pseudoscience or science? Population genetics is ex post facto research based on statistical inferences or the beliefs of the researcher, supported by Bayesian statistics. This suggests that population genetics may be a pseudoscience. Pseudoscience is defined as a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method. The scientific method is based on hypothesis testing. A scientific paper is based on hypothesis testing. This is not the case in population genetics research. In this research, you are evaluating statistical inferences based on the researcher's beliefs about a set of data instead of testing a hypothesis. As a result, the population genetics research reflects the views and beliefs already held by the researcher. Thus, the statistical inferences will automatically support the views and beliefs held by the researcher, and any outliners that fail to support the researcher's beliefs would not be mentioned in the research article or paper. Here we ask the question, are population genetics papers pseudoscience? This is my hypothesis. We will attempt to look at the dosha that may influence a geneticist's research and the constructs that should be considered when evaluating this knowledge base. Firstly, we assume that any article or book written by an establishment member of the academy is reliable and valid. A piece of research full of valid scientific and/or historical truths, erudite scholarship, and impeccable research based on the researcher's method. The scientific method is based on hypothesis testing, not the researcher or not his background. Hypothesis testing means that a researcher forms a hypothesis and tests a hypothesis using a series of quantitative or qualitative statistical methods to determine the statistical significance of the hypothesis being tested. The scientific method is based on experimentation to test a hypothesis. Population genetics usually do not test hypotheses. They make inferences about data based on Bayesian statistical inferences. An inference is a guess. They do not use statistical methods to determine the statistical significance of a hypothesis. They use statistics to describe data being reviewed by the researcher based on the beliefs the researcher already holds about the data being reviewed. They're not testing hypotheses. The researcher is just proving what he believes. Population genetics is a type of ex post facto research. Ex post facto research design is a quasi-experimental type of study examining how an independent variable present prior to the research study affects a dependent variable. Whereas the subjects in experimental research are randomly selected, the participants in ex post facto research are not randomly selected or assigned. The genome of the research subject is examined to determine the haplotypes and haplogroups carried by the participants in the study. In population genetics research, the researcher used the Bayesian inference method of statistical inference. Bayesian statistical method is a subject research design method that provides a rational method of updating the researcher's beliefs. I repeat, when you're using Bayesian statistics, you're just updating the researcher's beliefs. You're not testing an hypothesis. I'm a falsificationist. I believe a theory can be confirmed or disconfirmed. Knowledge is based on hypothesis testing. This is how you build knowledge. There's no such thing as a fact in any research. Nothing is proven as factual except in a court of law, where the judge determines what is or is not a fact. Everything is a hypothesis or theory. They must be continually confirmed or disconfirmed in science. When a research topic is continually confirmed, it becomes a law. No one can test the theory of evolution or find the missing link, so it is still called the theory of evolution after 100 years of research. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west is a scientific law because we have recognized this phenomenon over and over again for years and years and years and years. You keep looking for facts, you'll never find it in research because, as stated before, facts do not exist in research. Facts are only found in a court of law. Since the results of Bayesian statistical analysis are a series of beliefs based on statistical inferences, the results cannot stand alone. This is due to the reality that any results reported by a researcher are only a series of inferences based on the researcher's belief about a phenomenon backed up by a series of statistical results. If results are published without corresponding evidence from archaeology, anthropology, linguistics, or craniometrics, the inferences are pure conjecture, pseudoscience, because they reflect the attitudes already held by the researcher, confirmed by data selected by the researcher to support his or her beliefs. In conclusion, population genetics articles do not test hypotheses. They only present a series of data sets. As a result, population genetics is a pseudoscience because it is not based on hypothesis testing. Science demands that you develop hypotheses to test the phenomenon. Absent hypothesis in a population genetics paper makes a paper pseudoscience. The data discussed in these papers is therefore purely a data set, and as a result, the data in the population genetics paper can be reinterpreted by other researchers. Population genetic research, unless it is testing a hypothesis and supported by archaeology, is nothing but pseudoscience.